Hey everyone, welcome back to AI Insights. I'm your host of today, founder of AI Insights podcast, Fleur Prince, here together with my co-host Granya.
Hey everyone.
She's an AI market lead, and we're going to catch you all up on this week what has happened in AI.
hmm
So, what are we going to talk about? So, we're going to talk about Studio Ghibli. Is America falling behind in the AI race? Chinese AI agent Manus? We're also going to talk about OpenAI's leadership reshuffle and ChatGPT's image generator. So, first up actually is the hype of the week. Studio Ghibli copyright concerns with OpenAI's image generator.
I've seen so much material about this, like an overwhelming amount of material from like people, like just people on like my timeline, like making different like versions and like caricatures of themselves to like think pieces.
Mm-hmm.
I've just seen like such an outpouring of content regarding this.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried making a few images myself, also with a friend of mine, Bianca. We actually went through making these Ghibli fanfics of ourselves or fan art of ourselves. It was just really cool to see ourselves as these anime characters.
Yeah, like Ghibli is such a distinctive style, and it's a style that people like would pay to see themselves in, like because the films are so acclaimed and everything. So like previously that was like a body of work, like paying somebody to produce like this image of you, and now it's accessible like at your fingertips, and you can like actually interact with the AI and like have it make it a certain way and all of that, which is really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I tried this not in OpenAI, but actually in Gemini when I was making the artwork because it was a lot better compared to OpenAI's version. But I do understand the concerns of the creator of the Ghibli art because they are now sending open and disease letters to a lot of AI apps that are popping up that are offering this service.
Yeah, I definitely think like internet intermediaries or maybe like companies that are going to use these different images in like advertisements and everything, there's going to be like a significant lawsuit to come out of that. I think because personal use is one thing. Obviously, it's not good. Obviously, it's like ruining like this subsect of like work for artists, but like companies using that is like an even deeper concern because it means that like this aspect of like professional work is also going to be shut down.
Yeah, and I think this is indeed also like an ethical concern when it comes to intellectual property. Because it's such a well, I mean, we've all seen the movie Spirited Away, which is like
Yeah.
super awesome, but it also, yeah, puts that in light as well. Like, how far can you go with a certain drawing style if it's very specific to a certain person making it?
Yeah, it also kind of calls up these questions of like, what is a distinctive art style? Like, can you trademark an art style? Like, what's kind of the threshold in this new era of like being able to reproduce images? And there's like such a lack of legislative precedent on the matter. Like, there's such kind of a vacuum with regard to like just any form of like regulation.
Indeed, because before OpenAI came with the ability to do Ghibli style art, there were already people making, for example, fan art that they sold at Comic Cons for a
Yeah, yeah.
profit. What are the rules around that, for example? Do you pay the artist an amount of the fan art that's of the amount of money that you make from the fan arts? Because there have also not been rules around that up to now. So it put a lot of things into question, indeed. And
Yeah.
how far can you go?
Absolutely, because like artistic styles are not protected by law. Like it would take like a pretty significant threshold for like an artistic style, like a way of drawing kind of to be copyrighted. It's just individual works that can be copyrighted. So like for example, if you were at like a Comic Con or like some sort of convention and you were to sell like a Ghibli product, I think there's kind of more action that can be taken on that. Whereas if you were like, hey, like this is my style, I can draw you in this style, and it looks eerily similar to Ghibli. Also, the creator is high. Wait, I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation. Miyazaki is extremely upset about because it's gone viral now. He's extremely upset that this has become like a viral thing. That he's always disliked AI, but like the fact that now Studio Ghibli is kind of like on the cross because of it. He's like, yeah, like you were saying, sending out like cease and desist letters and like doing his best to like kind of create that legal precedent to defend art.
No, exactly, but indeed, this just bring it back to the point of it's just being fan art to people actually selling it and earning money from it, taking money away from the studio.
Yeah, he's gone so far. Go on.
No, I wanted to say I'm just very curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, same here. I think because there's a lot of different lawsuits that are already in progress, like, notably like with the New York Times and everything. I think this will represent like another threshold of legal precedent. I also think it's going to be interesting to see kind of like the global coordination on regulation because obviously this art style originates from, like kind of Japan, sort of that area, and then New York Times from America. So as these things are brought to different courts, jurisdiction might like become a question. And, because this is such like a global phenomena, it'll just be interesting to see like what laws come in place there, come in place where, and yeah, just kind of like the impact of the lawsuits.
Well, let's definitely keep an eye on it. Also, another thing is actually we are seeing a shift in the AI landscape because is the US actually falling behind in the AI race? This is the first time when I saw this headliner itself, I was like, "Ooh, okay, that is not something I've heard up till before," because we can see now that AI firms in the US, including OpenAI and Anthropic, warn that China is actually rapidly closing in on the technological gap with, like, for example, their new model that we talked about, DeepSeek R1, but also EarnAXI.
Hmm.
Um, because the difference that you see with the US is that actually these Chinese advancements are actually fueled by state support and affordability, compared to the US, that's a lot of capital driven, so by private companies.
Yeah, so this is interesting, especially after, US leadership has pledged billions of dollars to AI production, that despite the amount of money that's being poured into investment and like innovation, there's still a possibility that like the models will be worse than like international counterparts. It's also interesting because it comes right after DeepSeek. The whole entire like that was like a week long, like almost like crises with like NVIDIA versus DeepSeek and like these questions about like the future of AI and who kind of would be like a stakeholder, etc.
Yeah, and also, how would you say this? Yeah, indeed, what you said, the DeepSeek crazy just put everything into perspective. Like, does it actually need to be this expensive? Do we need to produce such expensive
Yeah.
chips to run these models or GPU systems that are like super advanced, super fancy, or can it actually be run on simple Intel chips?
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's also it's interesting because the EU has like a very high standard of like regulation, like the EU AI Act and like GDPR, like they have a lot more kind of provisions in place for ethics and safety than the US does. And if they're still like holding a candle to the US in terms of like AI production, then it's a very good sign that the regulations are, not hindering progress because that's like an argument against regulations and kind of like ethical safeguards of like, like they hinder like market progress, they hinder like effective innovation, etc. So it kind of proves that the converse is true.
Yeah, and I would say it also underscores the geopolitical stakes of AI developments as the nations like vie for dominance in a technology shaping economy, but also when we look at national security as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's interesting because also it's not going to be only AI soon. It's going to be like quantum computing. And AI represents so much more than just like, say, ChatGPT. It represents like this whole other spectrum of like cybercrime, of, like societal involvement. I just did a research project on AI hate bots. What was it? It was like the exact title was like transnational hate crime networks, which utilize AI, and it was basically like a look into how AI is affecting like transnational crime and etc. Like AI represents so much more than just like ChatGPT or who can get like an answer the fastest. It goes into like the digital landscape of a country, like what people are going to see on their feeds. And, with people spending up to 12 hours a day or, sometimes more on either a phone or a laptop, if people's media is controlled a certain way or affected a certain way by AI, there's just all these huge impacts from political to economic. So, kind of a failure to compare or to meet like an international standard. That's a like really significant thing.
And oh, by the way, a good intro here is actually now that we're talking about China and stuff, anyways,
Yeah,
is actually their AI agent Manus. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
I actually have not.
People call it actually the breakthrough in autonomous technology because Manus was developed by the Butterfly Effect startup with backing of Tencent and Alibaba, and it's actually the first general AI agent capable of completing like complex tasks autonomously.
So like the AI agents that we've been discussing.
Yeah, exactly. But Manus like integrates multiple AI models that execute multiple step process such as like resume screening and property recommendations, which is
So
different
like
compared to
the
different.
AI real estate agents that we
Yeah,
discussed in this episode. Oh, jeez. It's a new world. It's genuinely a new world.
yeah.
And I'm seeing here that its transparency allows users to intervene during task
Hmm.
execution, offering a collaborative machine-human approach, and that's garnered attention for its efficiency and adaptability, signaling a new era of intelligent agents that go beyond conversational capacities. See, that's really interesting. That ties into what I just said about how AI, like represents so much more than like, oh, I'm gonna ask it something and get an answer. It's kind of like this entire new frontier of working, of, societal operation and etc. And China is already has such like a massive economy. As they start to integrate AI, if they are like kind of leading these kind of operations. Will the US then use Chinese models? I don't know. That will be really interesting to see.
Well, the interesting thing what Perplexity, for example, did at the time when DeepSeek came out is that they converted the model into that instead of it being run on Chinese server, that it would be run on European and American servers. So I do see them doing similar things with other models that are going to be coming out because all you need to do is just how do you call it, like reshuffle where the data goes or where the model produces its output.
That is really interesting, yeah. It's just there's so many different geopolitical kind of questions surrounding everything, and then so many technical questions as well, like where to source these materials, what's the best material, how things interplay, etc.
True.
Have you used AI assistants yet, AI agents? Would you use this product?
I have used Claude agents since I did have a Claude subscription, so I tried it out. It's the fact to have it like run a task through my computer without me touching anything.
Yeah.
So what I did is okay, very simply put, I just told it to post a LinkedIn post and it could do it.
Really?
Yeah.
There's also like a degree of scrutiny that I kind of have though, because when you allow this autonomous kind of thing to have so much control, like my Instagram login is precious.
Hmm.
My any sort of social media login is precious. Access to my calendar, precious. Like giving all this like data that represents like who I am in my daily life, giving all of that material and allowing this one thing to have access to everything when it could be, hacked or exploited in some way. Like that's something that raises immediate red flags in my head, especially since, and I saw that I feel like this is one scenario, but I feel like it's representative of so much more. It was that DNA company, 23andMe, when they went into bankruptcy and then they just started like siphoning off, like selling all the data. I was like, oh my God, like there's really like, there's no like bulwark, like if you put the information out there, if you like hand over that control, even if it's for like a convenience for information, even if it's for like a good cause, it could still go wrong very abruptly in any number of years. So that made a big
No,
impact on like how I approach these sorts of things.
no, I understand where you're coming from indeed. For me, like I love testing AI tools, so for me, I have to kind of get it at a handout if you want to be able to try it.
Yeah.
But I do understand also when it comes to, yeah, we'll come back to the security part and also trusting AI that it will not try to defraud you somehow.
Hmm.
Since it was built by humans, but I would also say that's that level of trust that you also have when you like hiring a person to do a task. You hope
I
that
guess
by
so.
giving them that trust, it will go well.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I guess everything is kind of fallible in that way. Like it's not exclusive to like an AI agent. And then also theoretically, like an AI agent would like make less mistakes than say like a secretary would. So I don't know.
By the way, talking about reshuffling, did you see that the leadership of OpenAI is actually changing? So they made a few changes to the leadership board.
I had not seen that at all, so it is very interesting to hear that, especially amidst like, didn't Elon Musk like want to either like buy OpenAI or change its leadership panel in some way?
Yeah, he did say those things, but they happily refused his offer.
There you go. And now
Uh,
Sam Altman's stepping down.
yeah,
Brad Lightcap then is assuming expanded responsibilities for operations and partnerships. Does Brad Lightcap's kind of intention for the company or like vision for the company, does it is it different at all from
well, the thing is, because OpenAI is growing so quickly, because of the high-profile departures, they decided to switch it a bit up. Because for Sam Altman, he wants to focus more on technical strategy, while Brad Lightcap is really going to assume responsibility on operations and partnerships.
Mhm. And I've seen that Lightcap has been instrumental in sort of steering OpenAI towards a transition from a nonprofit to a for-profit and has helped secure funding rounds including 6.6 billion in October 2024 and ongoing efforts to raise 40 billion. So I would say that he kind of represents like a more, you know, I don't know, like financial, like a more financially motivated leadership approach than Sam Altman had. 'Cause Sam Altman was, he often spoke about like the importance of education, about the importance of nonprofits and etc. So maybe him stepping down with Brad Lightcap stepping up kind of indicates that they're making this broader shift as a company towards prioritizing financial incentives.
Yeah, and this was always something that was probably going to happen. I think most people actually expected it to turn into a for-profit company.
Yeah, it was bound to. Like with the way that the market is set up and everything, I feel like you can't. It's hard to avoid.
No, true, but at the same time, it does kind of lose the purpose of what they used to represent. So,
Yeah, which is
uh,
unfortunate.
no, exactly. And I mean, they were very much on like a research mission up till now, but turning into a for-profit company does have its perks because it's much easier to raise the money that you need without
Hmm.
having all strings attached. But also, there
Yeah.
are a lot of strings that attached that also come with it. So you're not able to do a search of research because you want to. You actually have to now be accountable. Okay, how is this going to bring in money for us?
Yeah, and it's like this fundamental restructuring because like a company, the thought is always like how can I generate value? How can I generate like a financial everything comes down to finance at the end of the day. I feel like the restructuring goes so far beyond just like, hey, like this is going to be like a new intention on top of research. I feel like it's a more fundamental shift from research, from education, from like, societal benefit to like an increase in financial prosperity. And the
Oh,
company,
exactly.
like OpenAI, was only founded in 15. So many like abrupt shifts and like really like incalculable growth has happened since then. It's just like kind of surreal that it's only been that number of years since it started.
No, yeah, I mean, it's exactly now about 10 years old, I would say.
Which is crazy, which is actually crazy.
Yeah, but this also does open the position for who will be like the new head nonprofits
Hmm.
that is actually continuing the mission of AI. I don't want to say AI for good per se, but
Hmm.
making sure that AI is being used to have a positive social impact.
Yeah. Well, other people on the board include Mark Chen, who's the Chief Research Officer. He leads AI advancements and integrates research with product development. And then Julia Villagra, who's the Chief People Officer, manages organizational culture and talent acquisition to support rapid growth. So there's a few other like notable people that kind of also comprise part of this framework and contribute to everything that you're talking about. But I still like I agree that there's like now a power vacuum that will now be filled by somebody else. it's also going to be interesting to see if it's going to be like a person that's more like receptive to the public or like more of like a public figure. Because Sam Altman, like being the first CEO, etc., was definitely like a public figure. Like he would make a lot of statements about the company, like was kind of like a face of the company in a way. So it'll be interesting to see if somebody else steps up or if somebody that's already in kind of a public facing position, somebody that's already known, would then acquire the role.
No, I do see your point. Well, it's something we will see in the upcoming months when as the shift happens. It's just really funny at the same time when like we're talking about in the podcast about this. It does always feel like I'm doing it when they were doing like a Kardashian show, just talking about just a regular company,
Yeah.
how their board is changing. This is usually conversations I have like on the background with people where you're just talking about another company, like oh, what's happening in their advisory board or something like that.
Yeah, literally. And all of these people have Twitter and all of these people have like social media profiles like LinkedIn's. So like, you can really see like personality and like interactions through that. What's interesting as well, and this is a bit off topic, is that I think that LinkedIn is becoming so much more of like a thought piece platform. Like Twitter used
Hmm.
to have like this really powerful role where like like every single foreign leader, I don't know if you remember like the 2016 Pink Trump Twitter, like all the things
Hmm.
he would say on there, the international like reverberations and like all like the interactions that would come forward from that. Like Twitter became like this platform for news and like news from the source. Like you would have world leaders providing statements about things that you couldn't find. Twitter would be the first platform to see it. I feel like LinkedIn is kind of growing towards that direction, not with world leaders, not necessarily with politics, but with regards to companies. I think a lot of news is coming out on LinkedIn that wouldn't come out elsewhere. Um, Especially with regard to AI, because at the end of the day, it's a company produced situation, and a lot of these updates, can be read about, learned about on that platform. It's just interesting to see kind of like the shifts of like where information is coming from.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, definitely with LinkedIn for me, that's my Twitter, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. And even the other day, so I've done this new thing. I'm trying to like be off social media, not off social media, but I'm trying to like
Hmm.
limit my time on social media and then especially like mindless scrolling. So what I've done is I've downloaded this app called Screen Zen, and then I have a cap on how much time I can spend on like Instagram, Twitter, and then my cap for TikTok, I've like really made it so severe because I feel like I can waste the most time on TikTok, and TikTok like gives me the least reward for the time that I put into it. I feel like Twitter, I'm able to find like think pieces, see what world leaders are doing, that sort of a thing. Instagram, I can connect with friends, but I feel like TikTok is just so much more mindless and like monotonous. So I've like locked that down. And now what I've started doing is sometimes I look at LinkedIn Reels legitimately, like I'll be bored like on the bus or something and I'll scroll through LinkedIn Reels, which is like crazy. I never thought that I'd be, using that for I guess fun and just to like, be like a replacement for TikTok. Like who would have thought that like LinkedIn could be a replacement for TikTok for me, but yeah.
Yeah, LinkedIn Reels is something new, definitely.
Would you make like a LinkedIn reel?
I think I already made it automatically when I was like sharing videos or something like that on my personal channel. It automatically becomes a LinkedIn Reel.
Yeah, they're really trying to push that. The same way that like Snapchat created like a Reels section and is like they actually just restructured their entire app around emphasizing like the Reels aspect. I feel like LinkedIn is trying to do something similar. But LinkedIn also has more barriers to doing that and has to be a little bit less kind of pushy with it because they want to maintain like that professionalism of their platform.
No, for me, to be honest, I'm not really on LinkedIn Reel when it comes to the videos. Like I'm mostly on LinkedIn through my computer, to be honest.
Yeah, me too, me too. I've only just now started opening up like LinkedIn Reels, LinkedIn on my phone because I'll be bored. Like I'll be bored on the bus and then I'll think, okay, what do I do? And I try to open up TikTok. TikTok's locked because my screen's an app. So then I'm like, okay, I'll go to LinkedIn. And then I scroll on LinkedIn.
I mean, you definitely get it informational content, so that's an advantage compared to
Yeah.
LinkedIn or compared to YouTube or to TikTok.
Do you think that it kind of like degrades professionalism in a way? Like if you saw like Sam Altman like making reels on LinkedIn, would you think like, oh, this is like a great like company strategy? Or would you kind of think along the lines of, oh, why would you do that?
I think it is important when you share videos on LinkedIn that they're educational or at least give people information that they can reuse for their own self-education because that's what LinkedIn was originally meant for. And if you start doing like funny videos like you see on TikTok, it does kind of take away of what LinkedIn was supposed to be.
Yeah, I've seen some funny videos on there as well. Like, especially because my algorithm, I didn't spend much time on there, or I rather I haven't spent much time on there, but the algorithm is like slowly adapting and it can obviously tell that I'm using it as like a TikTok replacement and that I'm not like seeking to like, I don't know, like learn a new skill through LinkedIn Reels usage. So now I'm getting like funnier content, but it's a bit like the same way when like I see like viral posts on LinkedIn, I just there's still an air of like, oh, like on this app, you know what I mean? So, yeah, not sure. It's interesting anyway.
Let's definitely see where that goes. By the way, this does bring us to our final item, which was actually, we already talked about at the beginning, the image generator released by ChatGPT last week. This was last week. It feels like last week, but
Yeah. So OpenAI's GPT-powered image generator has exceeded expectations in popularity, but remains exclusive to paid ChatGPT tiers because of scalability issues. The tool enables users to create highly detailed images, but has sparked debates on accessibility and ethical concerns of AI-generated art, as we were discussing earlier. And OpenAI plans to expand availability once technical challenges are resolved, reflecting the growing demand for advanced generative tools across user bases. So this is really interesting. I'm some discourse regarding this on Twitter.
Mhm.
So people have actually started labeling like AI image generation usage as like a hobby. Like you would say like, oh, I love doing like art in my free time and they're creating like AI generated images. I've also seen where people have access to like these like paid tiered models of image generators that they will then sell access through them to that service on different social media platforms. So like for example on Twitter, they'll put out, hey, like I am a prompt engineer and I have access to this image generation and I'm very good at what I do. And I'll make sure that the end product is like refined. So if anybody wants me to make an image, I will do so for like €5, $5. I also saw as a like a component of like resistance to that, somebody online being like, if anyone wants like as a part of like a as a statement against like AI generated images, I will be drawing things very poorly in MS Paint. So give me a request and I will draw it poorly in MS Paint, but it will be like 100% human generated. And this person was not good at drawing, and the drawings were not exceptional in any way, shape, or form, and they were sometimes like not even really identifiable as what the original person had requested. But there was like such like it was interesting because it was still like appealing because it was like, oh my gosh, like I have a person creating this art for me. And it's like, but
Yeah.
seriously, like it's the same way that like you would like commission somebody to paint something for you. Like, even
Mhm.
though the art wasn't good, there was a uniqueness to it because it wasn't AI generated. But what's interesting is that even a year ago, there would have been no uniqueness. Like, a post like that wouldn't have received any attention because it's like, oh, you can draw something and you're not talented at all. I could do that too. How's that unique? But now, with so many people producing like these highly detailed, beautiful, like really like complex, like AI images that like have so much like I guess like there's no talent there obviously, but like it's a very high quality image, like high value image, whatever. Like these people or like even people with like a lack of talent, like there's still uniqueness there. There's still an appeal because it's human created. Another thing, sorry, this is my last bit because I've been talking for a
No
while now.
worries.
Yeah, another thing is that there's been such a spike this week even of AI generated images, AI generated content. And I remember I was again on the bus. I spent a lot of time on the bus and I saw this advertisement and I only saw in like the comments that it was an AI generated image, but it was a woman and it looked like authentic photography of a human person. There is no way in a million years I would have ever identified it as AI. And then also it was posted not a part of a discussion as AI. So it started to freak me out because I was like, oh my gosh, like in the past you used to be able to tell like through the hand or something like that, but I genuinely could not tell. My friend who was sitting next to me was able to tell because she zoomed in like super intensely on like the lettering and was able to discern like this like tiny, tiny, tiny lettering at like the bottom of the image that was a little bit off, like the slightest bit off, but it required such a scrutiny and attention to detail. And you could zoom in on the image and see like how refined and like you could see like wrinkles under the eyes and everything. It was so realistic. And that was maybe one of the first times that I've seen an AI generated image and I didn't even get like, an uncanny valley sort of feeling of like, oh, I think that's AI generated. I would have thought that was a human person.
That's just so odd that is so becoming so refined indeed. I mean, when I was studying media innovation at the time, this was not something I would have seen coming at the time because,
I don't think
well,
anybody could have, yeah.
I mean, I knew kind of that it was at least on the way that you would be able to like deepfake a person, but to the
Yeah.
level of detail that you could see like wrinkles and stuff like that.
I know wrinkles, like under eye, like shadow, imperfections. Imperfections. I think most of the time with the uncanny valley effect, you see a person and it's so like proportional, or it's so like it's a bit like too perfect, but this person wasn't fully proportional and they had like the details, you know? So terrifying. Really terrifying.
I feel like in-person meetings are gonna be coming back because of this then.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I saw this poll. I saw this poll the other day where it interviewed respondents. Would you rather go through a divorce or would you rather go back into work full time? As in like no virtual meetings, no virtual anything allowed. The majority of respondents would prefer a divorce than to go back to work full time. Like it's that serious. It's that serious for
Yeah.
people. It's that serious even for me. I went into work every single day. Well, most of my corporate jobs and positions thus far, I've gone into work every day. For as an AI market lead, almost everything is virtual now, but it used to be hybrid. And for the rest of my life, going into an office every single day, 9 to 5, with no degree of like flexibility for, like human events or like things to do with like home and like family life, etc. Like I cannot fathom that, genuinely.
Oh, and I definitely do not want to go back to like full time in work, but I do see because of well, we talked about it like deep fake. Well, now pictures that are being able that are so realistic that you cannot see the difference, almost cannot see the difference. I see that accelerate very quickly to deep fake videos where you can even copy a person's face and we're like the way we're chatting right now make you believe that maybe I'm not maybe I'm not really Fleur Prince now talking to you.
Yeah, I mean, there's also a lot of implications, I think, for cybercrime and different
That too.
yeah, where you could get like a video call from somebody and it has like your friend's face, and it's even for me, it's like the
Even
replicating
our voice.
imperfections. Yeah, your voice, and it's like seriously, it's like the replicating imperfections, and I think it represents like something broader in society that we would prefer something because so much of like marketing, advertisement, media is about presenting the best possible version of something, the most airbrushed, the most like proportional, like the best version of something. But, seeing that thing on social media where it was somebody who's terrible at drawing, but it got so much popularity, reaction. People were so genuinely excited about the photos that they would receive. I think it kind of represents more of like a societal turn towards maybe, possibly like embracing imperfections or embracing, imperfection as an aspect of being human. And that would be a good result of this. Even like, I don't know, like flaws in animation or I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. These things evolve so rapidly that there's not even like accessible, I think, literature on trends like that and their evolution because it's all happening at once. Like, especially like this AI generation image spike, that was incredibly recently.
I think we should actually maybe see if we can do an episode about deep fakes. Like, what's the current progress on it? Maybe that would be pretty cool to do, actually.
Yeah, I think that would be like, and even maybe just like an episode on ways to defend against like deep fake cybercrime or like how to identify deep fake slash AI generated content. We should definitely do that. I mean, I know you mentioned already there's a startup in the Netherlands that works on that, like identifying deep fakes through like the density of pixels in an image, something like that. I remember being really interested. in
Yeah,
their
I think
work.
it was actually that they check the warmth of your face. So apparently they have
The warmth.
their
Yeah, you
model can
said.
analyze the warmth. But that's
Yeah.
also now
And
something I'm
oud
curious about. Can a deep fake that?
yeah, I think soon. And like natural like redness, like this here, like the freckles on my face, like
Yeah,
could that be like replicated?
this
I don't know.
moves.
Yeah.
Let's see how it goes. Only we are out of time, so we are going
Mhm.
to wrap it up for today. So everyone, what did we discuss? So we discuss well, OpenAI's image generator and the copyright concerns for Studio Ghibli's art style. Also about the US versus China AI race, their AI agent Manus, which came out. Also about OpenAI's leadership reshuffling and ChatGPT's image generator and all the issues that come with it.
Hmm.
So, anyways, everyone, thanks for listening. Hope you're now up to date to everything that's happened in AI this week. And let's see you again next week to listen more AI news. This was your host, Fleur Prince, together with Granya. See you next time.
Hello.
Stay AI is amazing.